All right, let's talk about the digital mess that, let's be honest, kind of runs our lives. We're going to go on a journey from that total chaos to crystal clarity and show you how to make your data actually start working for you. Does this look familiar? I bet it does. You've got expenses everywhere, a crumpled receipt in your pocket, an email confirmation buried in your inbox, some random note you typed on your phone. It's just data chaos. But the good news? There is a surprisingly simple and seriously powerful way to bring order to all this mess. So first things first, we've got to get our heads around the big idea here. The massive difference between all that raw stuff we collect and the useful insights we actually want. This is the whole game of data versus information. Okay, just look at this. This right here, this is raw data. It's a jumble of facts with absolutely no context, no structure. Coffee shop, $4.50. So what? In the grand scheme of your budget, what does that even mean? By itself, honestly, it means nothing. It's just noise. In this slide, well, this gets right to the heart of it. The best way to think about it is like this. Data is just a pile of raw ingredients, right? Flour, eggs, sugar. But information, that's the delicious cake you bake with them. We're going to take those chaotic facts, give them some structure, and suddenly they become useful. We're literally turning noise into a clear signal. So how do we actually pull this off? How do we make that jump from useless data to valuable information? Well, it all starts by giving each one of those little facts a proper home. And boom, here we go. We take that one little data point, coffee shop 450, and we pop it into a simple table. And just like that, it has structure. We've got a column for the date, a column for the vendor, and one for the amount. See? It's organized, it's clear. This is the very first step out of the chaos. Now, I know what you're thinking. Great, I'll just make one giant spreadsheet for everything. But trust me, as your data starts to grow, that simple approach, it really starts to fall apart. We need a system that's a whole lot smarter and way more efficient. And here's why. See, if you just add a category column to that big table, you're going to find yourself typing food or transport over and over and over again. Not only is that super tedious, it's a perfect recipe for typos and all sorts of inconsistencies. There has got to be a better way. And there is. It's called the relational model, and the idea is actually pretty brilliant. Instead of one giant clunky list, we create a few smaller, smarter tables. Each one is specialized for just one job. The real magic, though, is how we create links between them so they can all talk to each other. So let's get into it. This is our first specialized table, the transactions table. Now look at the columns here. We have a unique transaction ID, that's just a number. We've got the date, the vendor name, and the amount. But check out that last column, category ID. Notice it's not the word food, it's just a number. Hang on to that thought for a second. And here's our second table, the categories table. And you can see it is super simple and crazy efficient. It only has two columns. One is the category ID, that same number we just saw, and the other is the actual category name, like food, transport, or entertainment. See what we did? We only have to type each category name one time, right here, which totally gets rid of all those mistakes we were worried about. Okay, so we've got two separate tables. How in the world do we connect them? This is where the real magic happens, using something called keys. This is the engine that makes the whole relational model actually work. First up, we've got the primary key. In our categories table, that category ID is the primary key. Every single row gets its own one-of-a-kind number. So one might be for food, two for transport, you get the idea. It's just like a social security number. No two categories can ever have the same ID. It's their unique fingerprint. Now let's jump back to our transactions table. That category ID column we saw before, that's what we call a foreign key. Think of it as a pointer, a link that points directly back to the primary key in the categories table. So when your system sees a 1 in a transaction, it knows instantly that transaction was for food. That one simple number is the bridge connecting everything together. Okay, so this all seems pretty neat for a personal budget, but why does it really matter in the big picture? Well, because this exact same idea is what powers some of the biggest companies and most complex systems on the planet. No, seriously. When you track your morning coffee using a transactions table and a categories table, you are using the exact same fundamental logic that a company like Amazon uses to track millions of products, customers, and orders every single day. Your personal budget is basically a miniature version of a massive enterprise data system.
The scale is completely different, but the brilliant idea underneath it all, it's identical.
So what's the real takeaway here? Why bother? Because structuring your data like this isn't just about being neat and tidy. It crushes errors, it saves space. But most importantly, it unlocks the power to ask your data interesting questions like, hey, how much did I actually spend on food last month? That's the real power. That's when you know you've turned random data into powerful information.
And that kind of brings us to our final thought. This isn't just about databases or spreadsheets. This is a whole new way of thinking. So, from your workout log to your reading list to your projects at work, what bit of chaos in your life is just waiting for the clarity that a few well-structured, connected tables could bring?